everybody. Man, I hope everybody had a great Christmas. And what an awesome year this has been, 2022. We started off the beginning of the year just believing God for more. And He really has done more in our lives. And so what we thought we would do is just bring together the Lifegate team a little bit and talk about some of the highlights of this last year. You know, our real goal and our vision is to create moments that change lives. And what we know is that we can't change a life. Only God can do that. But we want to get into moments where God can meet people and change their lives. And so we thought we'd just talk a little bit about some of our favorite life-changing type moments from this last year. And then maybe think a little bit about some of the things we're looking forward to in 2023. And so I got the whole Lifegate and pastoral team here today, and they're ready to answer some of these hot questions that we're ready to bring at them right now. And just thinking about some of our moments that we experienced over this last year at Lifegate, I mean, one of the things that we talk about a lot is doing life together. That's one of our core values. And we talk about being family. And maybe somebody could talk to us a little bit about one of your favorite family moments from this last year, or one of your favorite kind of life together moments from 2022.
Yeah, one of my favorite family moments that we had this year was thrift shop prom. After our marriage weekend, it was just kind of the celebration, the finale to our incredible marriage weekend, and just showing up in everyone's thrift shop outfits, coming in a limo, everyone really having a good time. That was my favorite family moment that we did together as a church. And then, of course, just getting to go be involved with my kids outside of church. I went to Caleb Applegate's football game a couple weeks ago, and getting to sit with his family cheering and watching John Twyford dance to the awesome music that they were playing. That was a good moment.
That was a good one, yeah.
Yeah, for me, one of my favorite was this year we launched our worship lead teams. And so having like a lot of our worship leaders just come together, being able to disciple and just grow as leaders within our worship team. And we've been doing dinners and lunches at my home. And so we would do like our kind of logistical thing and all that. And then we play games. And I am incredibly competitive. I'm so competitive, but the only one that may rival me on that is Briley Benson. And we played this game of throw avocado, which if you don't know is legit plush avocados that you throw at one another. And you'd think we're all leaders and mature, but no, it got really hectic. And I almost squashed Patty, like trying to get away from Briley at one of those games. But it was just a cool moment just to do life together, not just focus on like what we do ministry-wise, but just to have community and family together too. So it was awesome.
That's so wonderful. That kind of lends into our next question. We have a lot of fun together. We believe in work hard, play hard, right? So can you share a fun moment or even a funny moment that we've had this year?
Yeah, so the first day I actually arrived here on staff at Lifegate, we actually had a Nerf war. And so totally caught out of the blue. I'm sitting in my office, and I'm, trying to get started on some work. And Briley comes in, silent, has a Nerf gun in her hand with a sticky note, gives me the Nerf gun, and the Nerf gun just says, "Meet here at this time, yes or no?" And I'm like, okay, what is happening? What is this church about? And so, a couple of minutes later, I pull up to the kids' auditorium, and I know something's going down, all right? And so me, like, strategic thinker, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to, like, dupe them. And so, like, I open the door, walk away, open another door, walk away, and then finally, like, come in the other door, and it's like, it's on. Nerf war is going down. Lights are just, like, where it's, like, it's dark. We can't really see anything. I don't know if I shot past her multiple times. I don't know what happened. But, yeah, after taking a few blows to the face, we just, restarted. But it was a lot of fun. Definitely not your average first day at work.
I think about our mission trip to Virginia back in March. We went in where we were cleaning out this homeless encampment that had been abandoned, and there was this huge pile in the middle of it. It looked like kind of a dump site. And the whole time we were like, man, I hope nobody comes out of this pile that's there, like a cat or a person or anything. And we're just cleaning it, and next thing you know, Christian's like, guys, be quiet. We're like, what? He's like, I hear something. We're like, what is it? He's like, I hear a voice. We're like, no, Christian, you're imagining it. There's nothing here. Nobody's here. He's like, no, I really do hear something. So we all get really quiet. We figured out it was his phone. His phone was playing a video in his pocket, and so he did hear a voice. It just was not coming from the pile. And so the rest of the time that we're cleaning up, we're like, guys, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? We did find a lot of cats. Cats did scamper out of that pile a lot. So.
That's awesome. We definitely have a lot of fun. We work hard, but we play hard. And we do a lot of what we do for the next generation, for our students and families and children. And that's kind of one of our core values. So I'm going to make this very specific for Pastor Max and Pastor Cassie. Tell us a little bit about some of your favorite next gen moments over this last year.
Yeah, I would say one of more recent times that we had was actually Halloween. So every year we do an event called Halloween. And we just try to do it up this year like we usually do. And one of the cool things, there's several cool things about it. I would say one of the cool things that happened was we had 32 volunteers and leaders and staff people that were here that day. And so just seeing that everybody was invested in that was just super awesome. And then also we had like around 100 people in the room, in the building, students. And we had 10 people give their lives to Jesus. And it's moments like that, and then getting the chance to walk with them and have a moment with them. Pastor Jesse was there as well. And just getting to help them on their journey, on their next step, and just seeing how everybody played a part from the moment they walked in to the moment that they left, that every student came in and felt like, man, they really care about me here. We are really invested in the next generation. So I would say Halloween was an event that really showed the heart of this church, that really showed, hey, we love students and we invest in the next generation.
Definitely. My favorite, Worlds collided this year with me doing LGY while we were waiting for Pastor Max's arrival and also still being the kids pastor. But my favorite moment this year was being able to pray for 12 fifth graders on a Sunday morning and sending them to LGY as sixth graders that next Wednesday, but me also being there that next Wednesday. And majority of them I've had since they've been in kindergarten. And so that was just a really cool, talk about rewarding, fruitful moment to see these kids that you have helped raise up and disciple since kindergarten walking into youth group as sixth graders. And it was a rewarding moment, one of the highlights of my pastoral career.
So much. There's been a lot of powerful moments this year. I mean, if you think back through the year, there's just things that we could just name off as far as prayer nights and even the miracle night that we did at the beginning of the year, and even more recent, the men series that we did, and them just standing up here at the front and praying over their wives, but also just praying together and worshiping together at the front. What are some powerful moments that you would want to talk about that just significantly made a difference in your life or one of your students' lives or somebody that you led this year?
I'll go. There's been a lot of powerful moments this year for sure, and one of the ones that really sticks out to me is a few months back, there was a girl named Saley who came to church, and she gave her life to Christ, which was really awesome. And then I got to meet with her right after that and just talk to her about her next steps and communicate with her and connect with her. And from there, she really started to make those next steps. She went and signed up to be baptized. She was ready to go all in. She was coming to church every Sunday. And then in a couple months, or last month, I guess, she came to a worship night to be baptized. And one of the most powerful moments for me was, one, just seeing she brought her whole family with her. And we had 2 front rows full of just her family. None of them come to Lifegate, but they came to see her be baptized. And so it was awesome to see their support and see them come to be with her. And the other part of that powerful moment for me was that she asked me to baptize her, which for me, that was like a big deal because I don't get the opportunity all the time, but knowing that I had made a connection with her and there was something that we had connected on a different level, and so she asked me to baptize her. It was a really big honor for me to be able to baptize Saley that day.
Yeah, I would say one of the most powerful moments I saw this year was at kids camp. I had the opportunity to be on the speaking team, so I was at camp for 2 weeks, felt like 2 months. But it was really awesome when our kids were there. And my job as a kids pastor is not only to help disciple the kids of Lifegate, but to raise up leaders to also disciple the kids of Lifegate. And Matt Carter came as a leader. And one night, the Holy Spirit was moving very powerfully. We were praying for all of our kids in the altar, and I noticed that Matt was praying for Jacob, and I got to see Matt lead Jacob into being filled with the baptism of the Holy Spirit and start speaking in tongues in that moment. And so Matt was crying, Jason and I were crying, but I was like, wow, not only is it rewarding to see that Jacob now has his prayer language, but his dad is the one that helped him pray for that and that it came. And then just to see our kids going so fiercely and strongly after God. They were in the altars. They were praying for each other. They were raising their hands. They were speaking in their prayer language. I've never seen such a desire for the Lord from our kids until this summer, and it really has changed the dynamic of Life Kids on Sunday mornings.
Wow, that's so cool. And just what a moment that is. So many of the different types of moments came together right there because it was a family moment, it was a next gen moment, it was a discipleship moment, it was a powerful moment, it was all of those things. And that's what we want to be about, is we want to be about discipling people. And we know that discipleship doesn't happen just in a class. It actually happens in moments as we walk together. So maybe somebody could share something about a discipleship moment that you had this year as someone was growing as a disciple.
Yeah, this year was, our church has actually been able to partner with the FCA and done character coaching for the last few years. But this was my first opportunity to be able to do that at Burleson Centennial, which was really awesome. My wife already teaches there, so I mean, it was just a really awesome moment. And this year, what it normally looked like was we would drop off Gatorades for practice, and then we'd go and be on the sidelines for games. But this year, praying and just investing, we've really gotten in with a lot of coaches who have asked us to even stop and pray for them, students who have done the same thing. And what turned into just a couple of opportunities to be there, they asked us to start coming to their team dinners, leading devotionals, like having conversations with them about Jesus. And so it's been a really just awesome impact just to see what just being there and sharing the love of Jesus and just being a godly example for young men has been for them. I don't want to say anything, but it's also the furthest they've ever been since we started. So I'm just throwing that out there. You know, it's been a really, really awesome moment to watch these kids just grow in Jesus. So it's been great.
Yeah, I know, like for myself, Nick has been someone who kind of came out of nowhere for me. Being new, you kind of have to grow and build the team and, you know, surround yourself with people because obviously you can't do it alone. And Nick kind of just presented himself to me and was like, hey, I want to help. I want to get involved. So much so that he wanted to make it into an internship. And not only was it an internship with me, but it was also an internship with the worship team. And to me, that just speaks of his heart to go all in, right? That he said, man, I not only want to help you and be a part of the students, but I also want to just help anywhere. And so that's the thing about Nick that I love, is that his heart is just to be a servant, that he wants to just do anything he can to just help and love people. And so just seeing Nick this last few months, just that we've been together, seeing him help in the youth team, that he sets up, he tears down, that he helps set things up on the worship team, that he runs around doing different things, that he is the first person to raise his hand, to say, yes, I want to help. I want to do something. And that's something really special. Not a lot of people have that. Not a lot of people are willing to say, hey, I volunteer to do this. I volunteer to do the grunt work. I volunteer to stay late. I volunteer to go early. Like a lot of people are like, well, you know, somebody else will do it. But Nick was the person who said, if nobody else will step up, I'll step up. And I'll go all in. That I'll show up, and not only will I show up, but I'll show out when I'm here. And so, man, thank you, Nick, for just being a big part of everything.
That's really good. And I think that's a big part of who we are, right? We talk about going and being all in. And so talking about discipleship moments and being able to disciple someone, watching them go all in, it's so powerful. So does anybody else have somebody that you've just seen be discipled and move into an all in? They are all in attitude, heart, value in their life.
I actually have a few from our missions trip this year. You know, when we get ready for a missions trip, we spend 2.5 months training before we even go out. And during those 2.5 months, we do one-on-one discipleship, we do accountability, we do group discipleship, and we really pray and seek what the Lord wants to do. And one of my biggest prayers before we go on a trip is not just that lives would be changed while we're there, but that the lives on our team would be changed. That's really important to me, is I want to see our team's life changed because they went on this trip and because the process that we went through before we even left. And this year I felt like we probably had the most fruit from our missions trip and from that training that I've ever seen. My friends Robert and Cynthia, they came home, they started helping us lead our life group. My friends Christian and Barbara, whenever they came home, they started their own group. They started a group called Reach, which is really helping people overcome traumas and addictions and finding healing. Our friend Nick, again, he went on that mission trip with us, and he was one that we just kind of like asked him, like, hey, will you join us on this trip? And when he came home, he was all in for going on mission trips. Like, he went on the youth mission trip with us this summer. And then he came to the church and was like, I want to intern. I mean, that was a huge life-changing moment. Even Jacob Mencken, when he came home from that trip, he really just grew this passion to love and lead and support men. And so he led a men's group for a semester, and then he led a men's retreat in the fall. And so to me, just seeing how the discipleship process and going on a trip and seeing their lives change, we saw so much fruit from that, of people saying, you know what, I'm ready to go all in with what the Lord has for me this season.
Yeah, and though, just to lean back into that discipleship part as well, when we were doing the coaching, I asked Brian Roberts to come and just help me out. Really, if I'm being honest, sorry, Brian, if you know this, I needed help carrying 100 Gatorades. Like, it's a lot to carry. And so, but for some reason, like, when I was, like, wanting to do that, the Lord literally just dropped his name in my heart. And I was like, hey, man, would you be willing to come do that? And without hesitation, without any reservation at all, he was like, hey, yeah, let's do it. Like, and he showed up 5 o'clock after work, like, helped me carry coolers worth of Gatorades out. And he just began to come back every week. He's like, man, I love this. I love this. And then he came, and then he cooked a meal for them, which, it's Brian. It's amazing. The team received it so well. And so from there, he just began to become so integrated in what we were doing. It wasn't just me being the character coach. We were 100% co-coaching this team. And so he would lead some of the devotionals, and, like, the players were even quoting, like, his devotional, like, on the sideline in a game. They were, like, defending one of their players that got knocked down, and, like, an opposing team was getting in their face. And then they got in the other team's face, and they're like, but coach, he said to pick up your brother. And we're like, oh, man, we're getting quoted on the sideline. But it was this guy who was like, just, hey, will you come help me? And from that, he was like, I want to do more than just help. Like, I want to be in here. He's, like, cooking steaks for the team. He's cooking dinners. He's going and grabbing coaches, grabbing players. And he's benefiting from this just as much as, like, we're benefiting them. And so watching him just go from a guy who's already so committed to our church and already all in anyway, but just taking that next step of all in, which I didn't even think was possible for him, and he did it anyway. And it's been so incredible for him. So.
Man, it's been a good year, right? I mean, we started off saying we wanted to see God do more. Obviously, we have seen him do way more than we could ever have dreamed. And yet, here's the thing, is today's January 1st. So 2022 is behind, and 2023 is coming up. And so what I want to do as we kind of wrap up is just everybody kind of go one by one, just kind of short answer. We'll start with Max and go around, and then Amber, and then I'll wrap it up. But what's something that you're believing God for coming up in 2023? We'll start with Max.
Yeah, I'm praying that we keep growing the team, keep growing the people that are involved, because I really do believe in what God is trying to do in our students' lives. And obviously, I can't be the only person in their lives. I want to be an all-in effort that we're having all of our people here at Lifegate caring and loving on our students. And then the other thing I'm hoping for is to see students' lives change and be discipled. So.
I think I already have my word for next year, and so I think my word is go. And I've just really noticed over the past few years that there's really a passion for missions and outreach and seeing others being able to pour into the community right here and community abroad. And so I am praying for just more opportunities and open doors to be able to do that, to be able to take more people on mission trips, to be able to do more in our community, and really just growing our passion within the church for the one and going and seeking them out and being able to love them right where they are. So,
Yeah, this year, or 2022, my word for the year was obedience, and it was a hard year, a difficult year, and a lot of growth. And lately, the Lord just been telling me, now it's time to flourish in that growth for 2023. Like the harvest is coming. It's time to bloom where you've been planted. So I know that's so many allegories and stuff, but that's what the Lord has been talking to me. He's like, hey, listen, you've been faithful, so now it's time to be fruitful. And so I'm really excited just for more opportunities to go where God is calling, for him to continue to open doors, and just more opportunities to really use the gifts that he's put inside me and my family, and to reach more people for his kingdom.
Yeah, my word I know God gave me for 2023 is passion. I felt that really strong. I got to go on my sabbatical really recently, and something that I felt the Lord really placed in my heart was is that I think a lot of times we allow things that God put in our lives as a blessing to become a burden. And so I just felt the Lord say, like, if we will offer like everything to him, blessings, burdens, all that, like he will ignite those into passions of our lives. And so for me, I just know it's like giving all that I have to the Lord, so that way he can ignite that passion in such a real and powerful way. So
I love it. For me this year, 2022 was a year, my word for the year was rest. And I just really felt the Lord just telling me to slow down, be in his presence, quit striving. And this year, as I'm getting ready to just think about what the word is and what I'm going to be leaning into, I keep hearing him just say, just lean in, lean in. And I don't know if that means right now, hey, you're going to have another year of rest, of really learning how to rest. And I'm excited about that because, I think that's something we always need to be growing in, always need to be doing, and we don't always do it so well. And first of the year I did great, middle of the year still okay, but towards the end of the year you kind of get, there's too much to do to rest, right? But the Lord is saying it's going to be another year of just really leaning in and being at rest and in his presence. So
That's so good. I was thinking about my word for this coming year, and I'm really just excited to see what God has for us that is next. And I came across this verse in Romans chapter 8. I've been reading through Romans, and I've been reading it in the Message because it just says it a little bit differently. And I read this a couple days ago in Romans 8:15. It says, this resurrection life you received from God is not timid, not a grave-tending type of a life, but it's adventurously expectant, greeting God with a childlike, what's next, Papa? And man, as I read that, I thought, man, I don't want to be a grave tender. I don't want to be tending to things that are dead. I want to be taking my Father's hands and saying, what's next? And so I want to see this next year be an adventure that God has for us. And so I'm so excited about that and the adventure that God has for us on our team and for our church and for each one of you. We've been through a lot in the last couple of years, but man, God is up to something big. And he's leading us into what he has next for us. And so that's what I'm believing for you for this year, that God's going to speak to you. He's going to show you what he wants to do in your life this year. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be amazing. It might be different, might be new, might look like something that we haven't experienced before, but God is going to be in it. He's going to use it in a powerful way. So I just want to pray for you. And as a team, we want to pray for you as a church, as today, January 1st, you start a brand new year, and maybe we could take a hold of the hand of our Father and say, Papa, what's next? And he can lead us on a great adventure. So let's pray. Father, thank you, Lord. God, for what you did in 2022. God, you did exceed more than we could ever ask or imagine. We're so thankful. But God, now we also take a hold of your hand and we just say, God, what do you have next? Show us, lead us, guide us. And as you do, we're going to trust you. We're going to lean into what you have for us. And God, we just thank you, Lord, that you are with us. You're walking with us every step of the way. And so I pray for every person that's watching online today. God, I just pray, Lord, that as they step into this next year, that your blessing, your presence, your spirit, your power would be upon their lives. We thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen. Hey, we can't wait to see you next Sunday and to see what God has for us next in 2023. Thank you so much for joining us for this special online service today. We truly are praying for you that 2023 is going to be the best year that you have ever experienced. And if that's going to happen, it's going to be with your church family. And so we want to make sure you remember that we're back in person next Sunday, January the 8th, right here with some new service times, 9 o'clock and 10:40. Don't want you to get confused and come at the old service times. We cannot wait to see you this coming Sunday Sunday. God's got great things for you, kicking off a brand new series and a brand new year this Sunday at 9 o'clock and 10:40. We'll see you then.